It's here. The Sega Genesis Mini has finally arrived in my hot little hands. I'm going to do a preview of this unit. I'm going to unbox it, play some games. We're going to open it up and take a look inside and see what's going on under the hood and really see if this is worth the $79.99 price or if it's just another throwaway clone console that you should avoid. It's here, Sega's new first home console in years, the Sega Genesis Mini. Although it's technically not new hardware, rather a throwback to the Sega Genesis, there's definitely reasons to be excited about this system. Mini consoles, as we know, have been the in thing right now, with Nintendo, Sony already releasing systems of their own, and now Konami and Sega are getting in on the act. Incidentally, I got to test out the Genesis Mini back at E3 in June, and it certainly left an impression on me. Being developed by the legendary Japanese developers M2, it quickly garnered my attention. M2 is hands down the best emulation development house in the business, and it's awesome that they have worked on the Genesis Mini. On a personal level, they have produced some of my favourite games, all the way back to Gauntlet 4 on the Genesis and more recently Virtua Racing on the Nintendo Switch. Sega of America was kind enough to send me a review unit of the Sega Genesis Mini. We're going to unbox the unit and show some first impressions of the gameplay. A full review of the unit including teardown and comparisons with original hardware will come later next month, but for now, let's go ahead and take a close look at the system. Opening up the box, you will get two 3-button Genesis joypads. These are USB connected to the main unit, and you will not be able to use original Genesis controllers on the Genesis Mini, but you can use 6-button retro-bit Sega Genesis pads. The buttons and D-pad feels good, although I will say they are a little stiffer in the hand over an original pad, but nothing major. These are solid and I do like them. You also get the unit itself, which is around half the size of an original Genesis one model by comparison. On the unit there's a power button, reset button, and volume control. I'm not really sure if the volume control does anything. On the front of the unit there are two USB connector ports, and on the back there is an HDMI out and USB power out. You also get an HDMI cable, a USB cable with power adapter, and an instruction booklet. On the side of the unit is the expansion cover, and when removed reveals absolutely nothing at all. When you power on the unit, you will be asked to select your language. From here, you are taken into the main menu. It looks nice and clean, and the navigation is easy and it looks great. And as a bonus, the menu music has been written and produced by none other than legendary composer Yuzo Koshiro, and it's excellent. The tracks were created using an actual YM206012 sound chip, the same one used in an original Sega Genesis. The price of the Genesis Mini comes in at $79.99 US, which is pretty good value for money with 42 games including Darius and Tetris, both unreleased games in the USA. It also includes Mega Man The Wily Wars, which is an exclusive Power Region game. The settings menu has some basic features. You can set the display at either 4x3 or 16x9 modes. You can also add 3 different background types, and there's also a Crt filter you can apply. There's not really that much here however, and I expected more in terms of the filters to be honest. Even the Super NES Classic has more options than this. Launching into the games is simple, just press the A button and you will be playing and into the action in no time. The first thing I wanted to hear for myself was the sound. This is usually what makes or breaks emulation, and from what I'm hearing, first impressions are good. As this is M2, you expect quality, and that's what I'm hearing. Now, I'll be covering the sound and doing an A-B comparison with real hardware when the final review comes out. But for now, it passes the test. At least it means I want to keep playing this thing and not put it away in the closet with the other clone systems that I've used in the past, and that's a good thing. Other than that, the gameplay is fluid and fast. I lock 60 frames per second as you would expect, and the input lag on the controller feels minimal. Again, it's M2, so you know that they took lots of care and attention getting the lag down to as much as they could. Once you're in the game and you want to quit out or save your state, holding down the start button will get you back to the in-game menu. From here, you have 4 save states per game. You can either reset the game, exit out, or load a save state. One thing to note, however, is the navigations of the menu with the controller is a little jumpy. I do wish it was a little less sensitive. Sometimes I found myself moving left or right too far, and this did seem a little strange. Onto the game list, overall I think it's solid, but there are a few missed opportunities. For example, over in Europe and Japan there are some titles I wished were available in the North American release. Now I'm planning on doing a much more in-depth review of the unit and compare it with original hardware. The sound especially will be put under the microscope as well, and see if there's any entry point into hacking the device, but for now I'm quite impressed with the Genesis Mini. Of course, I had to open up the system and take a look at the internals. What's interesting is there's a new system on a chip that I've never seen before. The chip is known as the Zayuki Z7213. This is an all-winner system on a chip, but there's not much information out there. I emailed the company asking if I could get some more information about the specs, but I haven't heard anything back. And if anyone out there is familiar with this chip, please leave a comment below. I'd be very much interested in the technical specifications of this chip. And the last thing I want to talk about is the Crt filter. It quite honestly doesn't look very good. I feel like this is a complete missed opportunity, and I do think there are better Crt filters on different products out there. The Crt filter looks very soft to me, and I do get what they were trying to go for here, but in the end it just looks like a blurry mess, and it's something that I would never use. But let me know what you think about the Crt filter. Do you like the look? I personally am not a fan, but I do know some of you folks out there do prefer playing systems like this with the Crt filter turned on. The other thing to note is that it just seems quite dark, and I do wish the brightness of the scan lines was increased a little bit in order to get the brightness of the picture up. As it stands, I will never be using this feature. The last mini system I picked up was the PlayStation Classic, and that was at a disappointing $100, which I paid full price for. At $79.99, Sega and M2 have delivered a fine product that fans of the Sega Genesis will surely enjoy. So there you have it. There are my initial thoughts of the Sega Genesis Mini. I think it's a fine system for $79.99 with 42 games. It's really worth considering. Now, normally when I get one of these emulation or clone type systems, there's an inherent problem that really just makes me want to stop playing immediately, and it's usually around sound or bad image quality, or the controllers aren't very good, or mono sound, or whatever it is that you get from these kind of cheaper clone systems. There's no such issues here at all with the Sega Genesis Mini. As mentioned, it's been developed by M2, and I know I've said that like 4 or 5 times in this video, but it's something that you really can't understate, that they're so good at this stuff, and they're so good at emulation, and I couldn't ask for any better team to be on board with this project. So you can really see that Sega has put a lot of care and attention into this product, getting M2 on board, and it's really awesome to see that as a thing for this particular unit. So for now, I'm going to leave it here. Next month we're going to take a deeper dive into the system, and I'll give you a honest review of the product and really put it up against original hardware and see if we can mod this system and see if there's any entry points to get into the system. As mentioned, right now I don't know too much about the system on a chip that's on the motherboard, and it would be really cool to know more about it. So if anyone out there has info about it, please let me know in the comments below. Well guys, I'm going to leave it here for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, you know what to do. Leave me a thumbs up. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye for now.